That day, when I got up in the morning, my head was pounding from a hangover. So, I took the morning off from work. It was no big deal, the kind of laid-back company where I worked. The West New York East branch of a listed company that deals in leasing and selling office equipment. Whether it's located in the West or the East, it's confusing, but internally it was sarcastically referred to as the tax avoidance branch. That means, from my point of view, this branch exists solely to account for expenses like labor costs for the company's overall revenue. There were absolutely no expectations for the branch itself to generate revenue. Even if there were, it would be a problem. The 6 employees, including the secretary, were all admittedly lazy, constantly skipping work. When I got to the office, I headed straight to the smoking room. There, the branch manager and 2 senior employees were smoking and chatting. I joined in. Is it true that this branch will be shut down by the next financial statement? Really, you're kidding. As I was surprised, Sam, who was nearing retirement, exhaled cigarette smoke and said, "That rumor's around all the time, right?" "Well, yeah, but that's not good at all. Those rumors affect our reputation." Everyone else burst into laughter at the manager's words. As if we in this branch had something like a reputation to worry about. Then, the secretary came stomping in, letting the branch manager know there was a call from the headquarters. This secretary, although she doesn't smoke herself, didn't mind other people smoking. It would be one thing if there were young female employees who minded the smell of smoke, but besides the secretary, all the employees were men, and all were smokers. It seems to me that the office could just allow smoking, but apparently, the law was strict. The branch manager extinguished his cigarette and went to the office, and we followed him. He was making a troubled face while taking a call from headquarters. After ending the call, he slumped into his chair and, slapping his cheeks with both hands, said, "This is not good. We're in trouble," and turned to us. Apparently, for 1 week starting next week, a female employee from headquarters, who directly reports to the CEO, will be coming to our branch for training. And this female employee is none other than the CEO's daughter. She's young, the CEO's daughter. Maybe 25 or 26. Hearing that, we men were buzz. We looked at each other's faces and grinned, stretching our noses. "Steve, I need you to take care of her." I was tasked by the branch manager to be the guardian of the daughter. Though my heart leaped at the prospect of being around the young CEO's daughter, I was also half worried. Why on earth would she want to come to a place like this for training? To learn how to slack off at work? It just didn't sit right with me. The first day the CEO's daughter arrived. Normally, the employees' faces, which seldom all appeared even after the start time, were lined up 15 minutes early on this day. Everyone was restless and uneasy, spraying deodorant on their suits, swishing mouthwash in the restroom sink, and frantically trying to get rid of the smell of cigarette smoke. "My name's Sarah. I'll be with you for a week." Sarah quickly bowed her head, her chestnut-colored long hair tied up. Her sweet scent of shampoo wafted. She was quite a beauty, with large double-lidded eyes and a youthful allure in the air. I felt the strength of will in the way she stared at me. "I'll be taking care of the training. My name's Steve. I'm the one who is bothering you for training. Please drop the formalities." The daughter seemed more feisty than I thought she would be. As I began explaining to Sarah about the sales area of our branch and the current customers, the branch manager, followed by Sam, and then the other 2 men, as if they'd arranged it, got up and slowly headed to the smoking room along the wall. Even the non-smoking secretary followed after them. I really wanted a cigarette too, but I held back and continued to attend to Sarah. In the afternoon, I drove Sarah around to visit customers in the company car. Sarah, possibly nervous, kept her lips sealed and stared straight ahead. You don't need to be so tense. These are our regular customers." My words were met with a slight nod from Sarah, still facing forward. "I hope the car doesn't smell like cigarettes." I sniffed around, only to smell Sarah's sweet shampoo, not cigarettes. I glanced at Sarah and saw her kneecaps peeking out from her skirt. I was taken aback. Focus on driving." "Hello there, Brown Office Equipment. Here for your regular inspection." The first place I took Sarah was a longtime client, where we leased multifunctional copier. A familiar lady greeted us, sarcastically saying, "You didn't come last month either. This is not a regular inspection, it's an irregular one." I thought our slacking off had been discovered and quickly glanced at Sarah's expression. She was staring emotionlessly ahead. On the second and third day too, I drove Sarah in the company car, taking her on token sales routes and regular inspections. And on the fourth day, "We're a little early, but how about lunch? There's a great burger restaurant ahead." Sarah answered yes, but looked somewhat dissatisfied. Perhaps this young lady doesn't eat burgers. Sarah and I sat side by side at the counter of the restaurant. While waiting for the burgers, I searched for a conversation topic, feeling the awkward silence. When in doubt, talk about the weather. "The weather's good today, isn't it? It's cloudy, though." The atmosphere became even more awkward. Then, "Can I ask you something? Don't you do any door-to-door sales?" Sarah asked me. Waving my hand in front of my face, I said, "Rarely. It's usually a waste of time." "But isn't it great in sales if you get one deal out of 10 attempts?" "Well, people say that, but it's a hassle, isn't it? It's best to handle work safely without any highs or lows." Sarah reacted to my casual remark, giving me a sharp glare. I looked away, and just then the burgers were served. Nice timing. I picked up my burger and bit into it. However, while we were driving after lunch, Sarah brought up the conversation again. "Without any highs or lows means neither good nor bad, right? What does handling work safely mean? Does it mean doing nothing?" Her words were sharp. I wondered what had rubbed her the wrong way. "Is your job really that fun? That's impressive. Are you satisfied every day?" To me, that kind of life is the worst. I was also ticked off by that. I pulled the car over to the side of the road and stopped. "You have no business judging my life. After all, you're the CEO's daughter. You must be enjoying a splendid life," I said. After saying that, I realized I had gone too far. But I had been frustrated by having to look after Sarah day after day. Even though I had gotten carried away, I felt like I had let it all out and felt refreshed. Suddenly, Sarah covered her face with both hands and began to cry out loud. Making a woman cry in the car if someone passing by saw it, there's no telling what they would think. I looked around in a panic. "Hey, I went too far, I'm sorry." Then an unexpected response came from Sarah. Daughter, the CEO's daughter. Everyone says it, but I'm a human being too. I still don't know anything about the world." Sarah choked on her words at that point. I bought bottles of water at a gas station and returned to where Sarah was sitting in front of the park's fountain. "I made you slack off because of me," said Sarah. "It's the usual thing, slacking off. Oh, I might get scolded again." When I handed her the water bottle, Sarah bowed her head slightly. "I graduated from college 4 years ago and joined my father's company," she said. Sarah had tried job hunting but hadn't received the offers she hoped for. Her father told her if she wanted to work, she could work at his company. My father said that since I'm a woman, any job would do. It's just a seat warmer until I get married. That's what he told me. That was truly old-fashioned thinking. I had only known him from the company's entrance ceremony and a few speeches he gave throughout the year. but I hadn't realized he thought that way. Sure, the company brochure had a picture of the smiling CEO with the words, "We support women in their careers," but still. My title as the CEO's assistant is just a fancy title, but there's a separate secretary, and there's no real work for me. Sarah even went so far as to say that her current situation was akin to being kept in a gilded cage. Then, about 10 days ago, she spoke her mind to her father. Her father, who is the CEO, replied that only a small number of people are doing what they love. Most are doing jobs they don't want to do for the sake of money or living. My father said, "If you think it's a lie, you can look at our tax avoidance branch," he said. That would be our West New York East branch. According to Sarah, the employees at the West New York East branch, including me, are considered to be useless dropouts who are good for nothing but tax avoidance. I couldn't believe what my father said, so I wanted to see for myself. "So I came to watch you all work under the guise of training," she said. And sure enough, as her father had said, we were lazy people without a hint of passion or motivation for our work. That night, I was thinking back to what Sarah had confided in me during the day. Some adults often ask silly questions like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" or "What's your dream for the future?" to small children. I had always felt uncomfortable with such questions. I also hated the phrase of dreams come true. What you want to be in the future is not a dream, but a goal. And the goal is not something that just happens. It's something you make happen yourself. I thought about that and reflected on my current self. Dream, goal. I seem to have left both behind a long time ago. I had heard another serious talk from Sarah the day before. Our West New York East branch was really going to be shut down this time. I told everyone while puffing on a cigarette in the smoking room. "So, we're getting fired?" "Well, I don't know about that." I answered my coworker's question. "But even if we get transferred somewhere else, we still have to work properly." My manager patted the sighing coworker on his shoulder and said, "Don't say that now." Sarah's last day of training. Headquarters has a project they want to know if we can get a contract for. Several sales attempts were made, but we were totally ignored. So, we'd given up and left it alone. I somehow thought of taking Sarah to that sales there. "Yes, definitely," Sarah, with wide, round eyes, nodded vigorously. "Oh, it's you." The client looked at me with a disgusted face. "You only show up when we've forgotten about you, and you ignore our inquiries." "I'm very sorry." I bowed deeply, and Sarah bowed with me. "Who is this?" I apologize for the delay. "My name is Sarah, and I'm in training." Sarah handed over her business card, and the client stared at it intently. "Your name is Sarah?" Sarah nodded slightly, her face downcast. "She's the CEO's daughter." The client's attitude changed dramatically at the appearance of the CEO's daughter herself. I opened the materials I brought, and Sarah enthusiastically explained them. Seeing Sarah's fervor, I felt my own heart warm. And at last, we secured a major lease contract with them. That evening, we had Sarah's farewell party, doubling as a celebration for the big contract, at our favorite bar. Everyone ordered their favorite food and drinks, and the alcohol was flowing nicely. But she's really something, the CEO's daughter, closing a deal on her first visit, one we've been trying to get forever. Sarah bashfully looked down. But I was angry at the manager's insincere but harmless words. "That's not correct." I raised my voice involuntarily. Everyone looked at me with question marks above their heads. Well, sure, it might have helped that Sarah was the CEO's daughter, but her presentation was excellent. That's why we got this job. I was passionately defending my stance, and everyone was watching me, still with question marks. I chugged the last of the whiskey and soda left in my mug and gulped. The next day, she came to say thanks for taking care of her for the week. "Steve, I said some rude things to you." "No, it's my fault." I bowed to her as she left, then quickly ran after her. I told her that from now on, I would break away from merely going through the motions at work. I'm going to really live here. I'll be pushing sales hard. She nodded at me vigorously and smiled faintly. "It's been fun this past week. Meeting you, Steve, is something I'll never forget." What a turn of events. Our branch in West New York East, which was not just rumored to be closed but actually slated for it, was to continue. "It's all thanks to my performance, right?" I said, puffing out a cloud of cigarette smoke. Then, Sam slapped me on the head, saying, "You fool." In fact, my aggressive sales tactics had caused the branch's sales to skyrocket. That's when the branch manager chimed in. "You know, the CEO's daughter apparently pleaded with the CEO directly. It's too valuable a branch to close down," she said. A little while later, I was loafing in a coffee shop smoking room, smoking a cigarette between outdoor rounds. "Is it okay?" Loafing again. The one who sat down in front of me was her. I stubbed out the cigarette in the ashtray and waved away the lingering smoke. "It's a break. Don't make it sound so bad," I said, and she grinned. "Sarah, why are you here?" "Oh, this is the first time someone has called me by my first name." "Is it?" She had quit her job, defying her father's wishes, and had moved out to live alone in a studio apartment, working part-time at a convenience store while job hunting. I called after her as she stood to leave, saying it was a coincidence. "How about, once you get a job, we can go to a fancy and delicious restaurant to celebrate?" At my invitation, she puffed out her cheeks in mock anger. "A job celebration, is that all?" I froze in surprise, and she smiled warmly. Then she waved goodbye, and I watched her walk away with a brisk step. How did you like it? Subscribing to the channel will encourage production. See you in the next video.